Breece Hall might be the most interesting case study in all of fantasy football right now. He's insanely talented, but here's the truth. He's never rushed for 1,000 yards or scored more than 5 rushing touchdowns in a season. Now, everything's changing. New quarterback, new coaching staff, new offensive system. Sounds promising until you dig a little deeper. The new quarterback, Justin Fields. The best fantasy finish for a running back in a Fields-led offense? RB21. Not great. And that coaching staff, they've already floated the idea of using Hall in a committee. Not exactly what you want to hear about your RB1. So naturally, Hall's value has dropped faster than a meme stock. But are the concerns legit, or are fantasy managers sleeping on a breakout? Let's deconstruct the new look Jets offense piece by piece and figure out what it really means for Breece Hall. First, how does Breece actually rack up fantasy points? In 2024, in half PPR leagues, just under 45% of his points came through the air, third most among top 24 backs. In 2023, that number was even higher, 48%, first among the top 24 running backs. This guy isn't just a runner, he's a legit weapon in the passing game. But here's the issue, the old Jets staff leaned on the pass, maybe a little too much. In 2024, with Aaron Rodgers under center, the Jets called designed runs just 33.9% of the time. That ranked 29th league-wide. And the year before, with Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, Tim Boyle, and Brett Ripien, still 33.9%, which is insane because those guys combined for, check notes, 50 total pass attempts in 2024. If I'm rolling out future real estate agents at quarterback, I'm not throwing the ball 600 plus times. Sure, game script plays a part. They were trailing a lot, but even in situations where the score was within 7 points, the Jets were top 10 in pass rate. They wanted to air it out, but now it's a whole new regime. Aaron Glenn takes over as head coach, bringing that smash mouth DNA from Detroit. The Lions, top 6 in run rate in each of the past 2 seasons. And to call plays, Glenn brought over Lions pass game coordinator Tanner Engstrand. Sounds pass happy, right? But back in 2020, when he was the offensive coordinator for the UFL's DC Defenders, his offense ranked 2nd in run rate. Add in Justin Fields, who's expected to start, and the run-heavy picture gets even more clear. While he has never played all 17 games in a season, and games Fields has played, his teams would rank 4th, 6th, 2nd, and 11th in run rate. Offenses led by Fields have averaged a 45% run-pass ratio in games that he has started. The Lions averaged a run-pass ratio of 44.7% the past 2 seasons. So I'm projecting the 2025 Jets to land right around 45% too, good for about 486 designed rush attempts. That's up from just 342 last year. On paper, that's great news for Hall. But Glenn has already said he wants a 3-back rotation. So how much will that really affect Breece? Well, last year, Hall got 64.5% of the designed rushes in the 16 games that he played. That equaled 209 carries. If he keeps that same share in 2025, over 486 team rushes, that's 313 carries. Now, realistically, that percentage is gonna dip with a bigger volume of rushes. It always does. There's only so much wear and tear a back can handle. So what's a more reasonable number? Let's look at Detroit. In 2024, and the 14 games when both Gibbs and Montgomery were healthy, they split carries almost 50-50. Gibbs at 44%, Montgomery at 43.7%. Strip out the blowout games where they sat the fourth quarter, and those numbers jumped to 46.6% and 45.7%. That's probably close to what we'll see in New York. I'm projecting Hall for 45% of the Jets' designed runs, which is about 219 carries, slightly more than what he got last year. So even though his share drops, the volume stays about the same. But the Jets' situation isn't a perfect Lions copy. Detroit had 2 guys, Gibbs and Montgomery. The Jets, I think Breece will be the Gibbs, while Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis split that Montgomery workload. Most people assume Allen will be the number 2, but I wouldn't be so sure. Before the Week 12 bye, Allen dominated the backfield. 62 carries to Davis 4, but after the bye, Allen 30, Davis 26. Targets were dead even at 11, and Davis outperformed Allen across the board. Yards per carry, yards after contact per carry, explosive run rate, and missed tackles forced per run. Even as a receiver, he had a better completion percentage, drop rate, and yards per reception. There's a real chance that it's Braylon Allen who sees his workload get squeezed, especially with Fields stealing some of that work. Fields has averaged 21.4% of his team's designed rushes the past 3 seasons. In all likelihood, it'll be Hall and Fields leading the way, with Allen and Davis mixing in, and a few gadget touches sprinkled in for guys like Garrett Wilson, Malachi Corley, and Arian Smith. Now, the upside, Fields boosts running back efficiency. In games he's played, running backs have averaged a 6% bump in yards per carry. Apply that to Hall's 4.56 career yards per carry, and you get a projected yard per carry average of 4.83 in 2025. At 219 carries, that's 1,058 rushing yards, a new career high. And here's where things really start to shift: the red zone. League-wide, over the past 3 seasons, 76% of running back touchdowns happen inside the 10-yard line. The old Jets regime dead last in run rate inside the 10 in both 2023 and 2024. Even though Hall got almost all the carries down there, he only had 10 attempts inside the 10 in both of the last 2 years. No wonder he hasn't scored more than 5 rushing touchdowns. The Lions, though, 8th in run rate in each of the last 2 seasons inside the 10. They averaged 62.5 carries from this area. The Jets, just 14.5. That's the good news. The bad news, Fields is gonna vulture. In games where he started over the last 3 seasons, he's averaged 32.5 of his team's designed carries inside of the 10. League-wide, quarterback carry share jumps 46% inside the 10 versus outside. That includes sneaks, designed keepers, all of it. So no, Breece likely isn't getting David Montgomery's red zone workload. And this backfield is different than the Lions. Glenn has mentioned that all 3 running backs are big, violent, and physical. Braylon Allen is the biggest of the group, but Hall and Davis have shown to run better through contact. And Hall is without a doubt the most talented. Although a small sample size, Hall scored on a higher percentage of his carries inside the 10 than Allen last season. Size and power helps, but vision, footwork, and quickness are also crucial on the goal line. For now, I'm projecting Hall to receive 40% of the designed carries inside the 10. Fields comes in at 32.5%, with Allen and Davis receiving 20% and 7% respectively. That gives Hall 18 carries inside the 10-yard line, and that projects to 4.4 touchdowns, career highs in both categories. Overall, I've got him scoring 7.2 rushing touchdowns if healthy for all 17 games. Now let's talk receiving. There are some red flags. If the Jets run more, that means, say it with me now, that's right, they'll pass less. I've got them projected for 594 dropbacks. That's 74 fewer than last year, 102 fewer than the year before. But there's more to it. There's 3 things that can happen when you drop back to pass. You can attempt to pass, scramble, or take a sack. Among 65 quarterbacks with at least 100 dropbacks the last 2 years, Fields ranks 61st in pass attempts per dropback, just 81.3%. That's an improvement over his first 2 seasons, but Fields simply does not throw as often as other quarterbacks. I'm projecting just 483 pass attempts for the Jets. That would have ranked 29th last season. Tyrod Taylor, the backup, has a nearly identical pass attempt per dropback rate over the last 2 seasons, so there's no safe pivot if Fields gets hurt. Bottom line, volume is down. Hall's 95 and 76 targets from the last 2 years, probably not happening again. So what's working in his favor? First, Fields has actually targeted running backs more the last 2 years. His 18.1% running back target rate ranks 20th out of those 65 qualified quarterbacks. Second, and maybe most critical, the Jets don't have much behind Garrett Wilson. Wilson will probably command close to 30% of targets. After that, the Jets wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 project to be Allen Lazard and Josh Reynolds. Solid wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 options, but not ideal for your wide receiver 2. Maybe Malachi Corley takes a big leap, and maybe rookie Arian Smith can mix in, but he has major drop issues. Second round rookie Mason Taylor looks like a favorite to command the 2nd or 3rd most targets on the team. He could earn a very respectable target share for a rookie tight end, maybe something around 15%, but even then, there's plenty of opportunity left. And we've seen this before. In 2023, it was Wilson, Hall, and nobody else. That year, Hall posted a 15.8% target share, while playing just 53% of passing snaps. In 2024, although he was on the field for 75% of the pass plays and the games he played, his target share dipped to 12.5%. Much of that was a result of the Devontae Adams trade. But Adams is gone, and he's still clearly the Jets' best receiving back. So here's where I land. I've got Hall playing about 60% of passing snaps, which is similar to Jahmyr Gibbs over the past 2 seasons, and commanding a 14% target share. That works out to 51.9 receptions, 441 yards, and 3.1 receiving touchdowns. So what does it all mean? In half PPR, I'm projecting Breece Hall for 200 234.1 points over 17 games, or 13.8 per game. Yes, he'll lose a bit of his carry share, but the offense shifting run heavy will offset that with more volume. His red zone usage should jump too. The receiving dip is real, but not catastrophic, especially considering the lack of target competition. Last year, Hall was going around pick 5 and 1 quarterback redraft leagues, being taken ahead of guys like Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. But that was coming off a season where he finished as a RB4. So when he finished as a RB17, that opportunity cost really hurt. But this year, he might actually be a value. According to Draft Sharks, early redraft leagues are showing Hall going off the board at pick 32. And if you draft Breece, does it make sense to snag Braylon Allen as a handcuff? Personally, I'd go with a different strategy. If Breece Hall goes down with injury, Isaiah Davis and Allen are likely going to have a near 50-50 split in rush attempts, and I think Davis is more likely to handle a bigger share of the receiving work. So I would do one of two things. One, either target a higher upside play at a different position. For example, in 1 quarterback leagues, Draft Sharks currently shows Justin Fields with a lower ADP than Braylon Allen. He's likely locked into a starting job this year, and we know Fields has top 10 upside at the position. The other option would be to roster a handcuff back for a starting running back that you don't own. Again, this handcuff strategy increases your upside, but that's a discussion for a different video. Back to the topic at hand. If Breece Hall does go down with injury, I'd then spend my fab on Isaiah Davis. He's likely not going to command a ton of fab anyway, since most believe Braylon Allen will take on a big workload. But as we've discussed, in the case of a Breece Hall injury, the workload will be much closer than the majority anticipate. Having said all of this, is Hall going to be a league winner? Probably not, but for where he's likely to go in redraft and what he is currently valued at in Dynasty, you're getting a guy much closer to his true value that will score you consistent points at the running back position. And with all of the coach speak about this being a 3-man committee, you might actually be able to get Breece Hall at a slight discount.